Hey guys, old camera again today. Wilkinson's sword, and this is the Indian version. We're looking at about 6 or 7 shaves on this particular blade. Is the razor. Santal Noir is the soap from Mammoth, and then the scent was developed by Australian Private Reserve, APR. About to lather it up. I've got my face wet already. I've soaked my Zenith B23 Boar brush. Still very young, very stiff. Don't really like to use it right now, but that's normal for some Boar brushes. The razor is the Fatip. This is the closed comb version, so it's not the grande head. And this is the fatter handle. It's hollow, unlike the slimmer piccolo handle. So I like the thickness of this one, but I like the weight of the solid one. Anyway. So let's load up about 30 seconds or so. Started at 07, so we'll go to 30 seconds. This is a young boar, and so I want a little bit more lather than I usually like to have. But it's stiff, and so those kind of equal out. Since it's stiff, maybe I'll load a little bit less, but since it's a young boar, I want to load a little bit more, so that's why we'll just do the normal 30-second load instead of doing some less. And there we go. It's not one, unlike the Leon base, the Soap Smooth that I recently shaved with maybe 2 times ago. It's not one that puffs up like that. It's definitely different from that kind. Love this ergonomic handle so far, and you need it to be pretty ergonomic because the flex on these bristles is just, it's a pretty stiff knot right now. Not very much of it is opening up. I don't think there's any split tips, but I haven't used it very much, so. Okay, yeah, there are a few small minor split tips, but you really I'm really waiting on the knot to kind of open up. That'll surely help with the face feel. This is a tremendous scent. It's Santal coming from Sandalwood Noir. You know, Jonquil Noir, if you're kind of my age or older, you might have known something about that type of scent. It's popular a few decades ago. Fallen by the wayside, I think, a little bit. But there is kind of a noir genre. Sometimes people will create a scent and they'll add the word noir to it to just indicate some I don't know, thicker, heavier cologne type scents that might be favorable if you're not trying to be light during daytime activity, but you're trying to be maybe a little sultry for nighttime activities. And so there is definitely that. I didn't really use Jonquil Noir back in the day when it was popular, but I have smelled it a few times, and and I've smelled Stirling Noir as well, and there's some definite noir notes to this, but then it's got this nice woodiness as well to it, and I'm picking up on that woodiness better now, coming up from the bowl than I did the first time I used it, so it's kind of interesting to watch that happen. 3 teaspoons now in the lather. As you can see, it's not really puffing up or anything like that. It's staying pretty low and gluey. No, not that far. I should say gluey. But it's definitely not getting airy and bubbly, that sort of thing. It's staying pretty creamy. I think, especially with this being a pretty scrubby knot, I may stick with this the way it is right now. Got pretty much some good elasticity there. I don't have tons of lather generated, but I think it should be enough. Alright, let me get my face wet again. One day of growth, 24 hours is what we're dealing with. Press the knot down onto and into the lather to kind of push some of the lather into the center of the boar. Oh man, yeah, that's nice, bold scent strength. I mean, compared to a lot of others, it's not super strong, but it's enjoyable during the shave. Yeah, that woodiness, I am so glad. I kind of missed it when I first tried out this soap. So I'm very grateful that I'm able to pull it out more right now. Because I like the Noir okay, but there are other Noir options, you know, if I just wanted that part of this, a note. But I really am a Sandalwood fan. So I'm really happy that that's coming out more. I'm going to spend a couple minutes scrubbing this into my face. I did not do any kind of pre-shave other than the water rinse, and so we are dispelling oils and kind of cleaning the skin. We're also giving the lather time to absorb into the skin to help it to protect, make the surface of the skin slick. Also, if you spend a little bit of time right now during that first pass, sometimes you'll see your lather change because maybe you didn't quite spend, you know, enough time in the bowl to see it fully come into its own. And so you may see it thicken up, you know, that sort of thing. You may see it get thinner, just depending. More often than not, it kind of thickens up just a little bit, and sometimes that's exactly what you want. If it's not, you can just add a little bit more water to your brush. Feels great on my skin. We are also softening the whiskers by spending a few minutes making sure that we're kind of working on the face, and that's even after working it up in the bowl. Some of the face lathers that I talk to online, they say, man, I have these brushes that I really enjoy, especially, you know, awesome badger brushes like from Declaration and stuff. I got these great knots that I enjoy. I don't want to bowl lather because then I don't get to experience that on my face. Well, you just saw I spent a few minutes doing that. And then I actually spend a little bit before each pass kind of just enjoying the brush. I feel like I get a good sense of enjoyment for the brush. I don't have that frustration of adding water. I think I've decided, this feels terrific by the way. Looks like this really inexpensive Wilkinson sword blade works tremendously in this particular razor. I think I've decided to, for austere August, to use Martin de Condre, because I'm just so curious to see how many uses I can get per gram, you know, that sort of thing, or switch that, you know, how many grams I use per use. I think 0.4 was what I was using out of Stirling and Chiseled Face, thereabouts. Excellent, excellent. This is a wonderful razor. And so this is an inexpensive blade. At the time I bought them a few years ago, I think it was $8 on Amazon for 100 of them. It's tremendous. Rinse. And in terms of a modern razor, one that you buy new, that has lifetime materials, as in it may be plated in chrome or something, or nickel, but in the core it's brass. So that means it's going to last multiple lifetimes. And all that for $25, $28. That is the best deal out there. And to have it work so well with this inexpensive blade is just a terrific benefit to those who don't have big budgets, because you can get a wonderful shave. Comfort, closeness, without very much cost. And you know, there are folks who buy their, you know, fancy Merkur razors, which really aren't all that fancy. They're just high priced, relatively speaking. And in several years, it's likely that they're going to break, because they're pot metal. Once the threading and some bolts wears down, that Zamac gets exposed, and then it'll break. Well, it's never going to happen with a Fatip. This may have alignment issues, but even what you saw, it just didn't really take too long to get it right. If you're the kind of person who shaves with the same blade the next day, and the next day, and the next day until it's done, then you only have to do that maybe once a week. And I don't even mind doing it once a day. So on the first pass, this right here is even better. But on the first pass, I felt the blade just a tiny bit. But right now, it is just the glide. It's tremendous. I feel the hairs being cut, but I don't really feel the edge of the blade. Puffing my cheeks out a little bit when I do that area. Lightly holding the razor. I am able to move fast because I just have done this a lot. If you're new, don't do that. Take your time, get it right. I do small strokes to help with the angle. I can readjust quickly if I do smaller strokes. Readjust, hit that area again if I feel like, ooh, that one wasn't as effective as I want it to be, so I'll change the angle, and it becomes something I don't even have to think about. Alright, I had a wonderful cut from the first pass. As I rinsed, my skin felt great. The lather just is luxurious and tremendous. I feel like I hit the lather in terms of water to soap ratio right on the money today. So very cool there. Now, what makes up the Noir scent? I don't know. I think Cassis, did it say Jasmine, Jonquil? See, I think those are florals, at least the last two there. And so I don't know, but I like it. And those weren't all. Those are just a few that jumped out at me that I can remember for you. If you look in the description of the video, I will have pasted in the soap section the scent notes that they released regarding this scent. It's kind of warm and spicy with the sandalwood and the noir types. I like it even better this time than the first time I tried it. Third pass now. Cross grain again. There are blades that are a little nicer in this razor that are even smoother than this one, but this is terrific. I would not mind or have a problem, or I wouldn't miss anything if I was stuck shaving with this blade and this razor in some kind of survival scenario, or lack of retail shaving gear scenario. Very nice. Good residual slickness too. This is what I first shaved on that third pass, and it is still smooth, and the slickness is there. I can touch up areas without having to re-lather, so that's a perk. And full rinse now. Not only was that shave inexpensive, lifetime quality, high material quality, very comfortable. No hint of irritation being generated, anything like that, and definitely no nicks or anything. But it was also close. We're really happy with the closeness here. Even in my trouble spot, just see the tips of the hairs, not length on any of them really. So very happy on across the board on all aspects of this shave. And it looks like 3 teaspoons of water were used for a 30-second load, and this is a stiff Boar brush. So if you have a Badger that's a similar size but it's not as stiff, you may have to load a little bit longer, or load the same amount and you won't get quite as much lather, you know, in general. I'm sorry that the camera seems to take a while to adjust to white balance and brightness and things like that. This is about as much margin, as much soap as I like to have left over at the end of a shave. Just kind of a little bit extra. I can check out the scent if I want. Yeah, it's like a noir type scent in that typical kind of noir family. That I don't think they took too many diversions with that noir experience, but then they just added the woodiness and the sandalwood to it, and maybe some other notes that are kind of in that family that are highly related to the sandalwood, and I think it's a wonderful thing to do. Sandalwood is a classic shaving scent. The noir type experience is a classic in the cologne industry. Well, of course, sandalwood's in the cologne, I think, too, but they just work so well together. I think this is a great idea for a project. I haven't shown this in a while, but what I do with the Boar brushes, especially after a shave. Now with all brushes I'll do this. I'll take my shave bowl, I'll have water coming in it, and I'll tilt it to the side, that way I don't have to fill the entire bowl before it starts overflowing. I want the overflow so that as I have my brush that I'm cleaning, because my sink is all, I share it with my son, and who knows what is in this sink, in the surface, and so I like the clean bowl to wash out my brush. So while the water's falling in there, I stir and rinse and flex the bristles, you know, and get it, because you want to get it clean even down into the core of the brush. And so I work it as the water is coming in, and then it's pouring out at the same time. And so there's this constant rinsing, constant addition of good water, exit of the soapy water. Of course, I'll dump it a few times, but it doesn't take very long at all. So that's exercising the bristles a little bit, helping to get these tips to split and open up and things like that. It's also taking the time. It's also cleaning the bowl. So now that that's done, I will take the wet. This has already been done, so that's why it's not as wet. But I'll take what's left, and I'll stick it down in the thing, and I'll shake it back and forth, left and right, like this, down into the sink. And I do that in the sink so that the water splatters stay in the sink, you know. And then now we don't really have any standing water droplets or anything like that in here. And so to work on it further, to dry it further, I'll dry off the handle like that. Make sure the towel's going to stay on. And then I just strop it, kind of like Karate Kid, paint the fence. Notice my thumb is up right now, like that. And then every once in a while, I'll turn the thumb sideways. That way we're flexing the bristles in 4 different directions. You can maybe do some circles if you want, but as you can see, that is a little bit different in this scenario. And then I'll go to another dry spot on the towel and do that again, especially with the Boar brushes. And then I'll spread out the tips to help them to maybe air dry a little bit. Then I'll show it to the camera so that we can watch the knot as it slowly expands and opens up and increases in the splay. And so they bend, but man, there's a lot of backbone in here. I'm really also happy with the number of bristles. It's got a good density. I just think it's going to be a tremendous brush. My friend Buzz is a regular watcher, and he obtained this same brush but in the blue color, the B29, before I got this one. And so he was able to put a good many uses on his, and he said this is going to be a very different brush in about 20 or so uses, or now maybe 15 or so uses. And so I'm looking forward to that landmark if mine ages similar to his. Very good. I will continue cleaning up. See, that's a terrific scent on this soap. Really happy with that. As a soap, it's not designed to stay with you for hours and hours, and so the intensity is not as great on a soap as if maybe you just sprayed yourself with some kind of cologne. And so, especially with this kind of scent, it could be a little heavy if it was too stronger. And so I think it's just at the right intensity as a soap. I did not purchase when I bought that. It was one of those things with the Mammoth soaps. They go quickly, and so I didn't worry about trying to get the full set. I usually don't buy the set, actually. I usually just stick with soaps. And almost all the aftershaves today we're going to be using City Slicker from Stirling. Almost all the aftershaves I have were obtained through just bulk buys where I was mainly interested in the soaps, but the person was including some aftershaves anyway. And I have a ton of aftershaves, and I didn't really, order them, in a sense. So let's see if this City Slicker, which is a scent that I really enjoy, see if it goes with the Santal Noir from Mammoth. This has some cologne elements as well. I'm pretty sure there's some common ground, which is why I chose it. I've been using Sharp Dressed Man lately, but I thought this might be a little better match than the Sharp Dressed Man. But it's also got some, leathery. No, there is something kind of, cowboy about it as well, but mainly it's another cologne type scent. I think it's working pretty well with the Santal Noir. All right, well there we go. The brush, I feel a little bit better about the brush today than yesterday. I believe I used the same brush yesterday. Maybe it had opened up just a little bit, and in the early days of a Boar brush, sometimes the brush change, but from 2 days prior or something like that can be really quite noticeable. So a little happy with the brush today, and the razor was wonderful, and the Wilkinson sword blade did a great job. This is the Indian version. There's a German one, and it comes in the plastic, black plastic little tuck container, and it says classic on it, I believe is how you tell the German from the Indian. So that blade and razor was a great match. Brush was pretty nice today. It felt less, it did not feel as stiff as I was working the lather up, and that was a relief. It was a little bit of a chore the last time I used this brush, just a little too hard to work, but again, this is a Boar, it's temporary. I think we're good, very good. Yeah, all right. So this is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I sure hope this video is going to have something good for you in it, something that helps you out. You take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.